Alright guys, TacticalRab back again today. I hope you all all doing well and enjoying your day so far, and it was just yesterday we were discussing this whole new meta shift with the XM4 getting cut out of the game. OpTic guys clearly wanted it gone. What does that exactly mean for their situation? Is that better or worse for them? But also we were discussing the fact that Scump wanted Miami out of the game in terms of search and destroy, and was, well, quite willing maybe to try these new maps, especially Apocalypse, now coming in with this Season 2 update. Last night, guess what? All the teams, well not necessarily all the teams, but a number of the teams, especially the OpTic guys, were scrimming on these new maps, and seemed to like how they were playing out, and also Dashy dominating it with the QBZ in hand. Intrigued to hear your thoughts in the comment section below. Like if you guys enjoyed the video, subscribe if you are new as always, I'd greatly appreciate it. It really does help out the channel. Thank you very much indeed for doing that. Let's hop into things then. So this is what was said yesterday about, okay, it was a FaZe, New York and Seattle that actually wanted to keep the meta the same. Also thought I'd mention this, if you guys have been asking me when's the group selection going to be. This came out yesterday in the YouTube comments, so the league hasn't actually announced this, but they mentioned in one of their YouTube comments that a stage 2 group selection will be live on Friday. So tomorrow there's going to be group selection. We'll be talking about on Saturday, I imagine, what the groups stack up as, who's going to be facing each other. As I said, there's a decent likelihood this time that Dallas are going to be in OpTic's group. That will certainly be very exciting. So yesterday, teams are testing Apocalypse and Express, as Scump's talking about it right here in this clip. This was, honestly, I've played this in pubs a few times. I kind of liked it. It's a little bit strange, but it did remind me a lot of like a Black Ops 1 map, the way some of these buildings are laid out and the way it kind of works. Honestly, when I first saw it, I thought it was relatively promising, and the pros seem to think so as well. So they're testing Express out for search and destroy and I believe control, which is, I don't know if Express would work for control, but certainly people aren't very happy with the control map. Said Raid is certainly great for control, there's no doubt about that. But then you've got Garrison, you've got Checkmate. I mean, which one should go out of those two? Maybe Checkmate should go. I mean, probably Checkmate's the worst out of the two if I just had to pick one of that to get rid of, because we have seen FaZe win some very nice offenses on a relatively consistent basis on Garrison at the very least. So maybe Express control could work, maybe Apocalypse control could work, who really knows? But they've certainly tried it out and seem to like it for the hard points right now. So as you can see right here, which map would it replace? As Crone says, probably Crossroads, right? Crossroads does not seem to be a fan favorite right now. They even did change the fourth hill on that map, but still not exactly looking great. I mean, some of the spawns on Crossroads just don't work so well. And there also is an interesting question that Miami's Strike is coming into the game very soon, we imagine. And if that's actually any good, maybe it could even replace Miami for Search and Destroy, even though probably not, because I actually kind of like Miami for Search. We'll talk about that in a second though. And maybe it could replace one of the respawn maps. Who really knows? There's a lot to be done, but only a few days really until stage 2 starts. So not exactly a long time for the pros to get this figured out and then implemented into the official rule set, get it changed for the upcoming stage. So they finished scrimming a hard point on Apocalypse for the first time. They seem to like it. The other team seemed to like it as well. We saw TJ, who was on the other team they were scrimming against. I'm pretty sure they were scrimming against the Thieves. He said a couple of days ago that we looked at Apocalypse is the way to go. It is the map that we do need to add into the game right now. It's the best of the opportunities we actually have on the table, given the fact that even though the rumors came out that Standoff and Slums, these other maps are coming into the game, that clearly hasn't materialized as of yet. This is probably the best option for now. And to be honest, I do really like it when we get new maps into the rotation, especially in World War II. I thought that game was very stale, but when they brought Valkyrie in for Hardpoint and for, I think they brought it in for Search and Destroy as well, that was a really entertaining map, to be honest. I mean, it was literally Detroit from Advanced Warfare, but completely inverted. They literally just put a mirror down the middle of the map and just remade it that way. But yeah, still, something like that would be great to see. And I think some of us are getting pretty frustrated with other maps that looked in Stage 1. So this would be good to see some changes made to it at the very least. As Octane says, Apocalypse Hardpoint is most certainly it. And these are the rotations if you guys aren't fully familiar. So this is the Apocalypse map. First one is in the middle Hardpoint, and then it goes back to number 2. Supposedly this is very much a money hill and somewhat difficult to break, but we'll have to see how things go. Then 3 over here, 4 over here, 5 over here. I think 3 and 5 are both like in the underground sections of these buildings. So it's certainly interesting. Maybe it could do with some tweaks, but I was pretty impressed with the fact that the pros seem to be pretty on board with it almost immediately after playing it, which is a good sign. And just honestly, the way the map flows seems to make a lot of sense to me, and it's kind of nice to look at as well. So I don't really mind it. As Panda says, Apocalypse is way better than Garrison, maybe for Search and Destroy and for respawns, right? You could argue for Control, you could argue for Hardpoint, but even Garrison Hardpoint isn't exactly spectacular, I would say. There's certainly some of the rotations on that which don't make too much sense. Pentagram saying as well, Apocalypse is fire, no cap at all, and Kismet's like, just scrimmed and can say Apocalypse as a map is insane. It should be a map for sure. So lots of raving reviews about Apocalypse right now. He also mentions the Krig MP5 meta. We'll talk about the current meta though in just a couple of minutes time. So this also I thought was very interesting, honestly. Which S&D map would you remove? Given of course they're trialing out Express last night as well, potentially that's going to come in sometime soon. But yeah, which S&D map would you remove? Garrison, Miami, Checkmate or Moscow? So very interesting that the majority of people picking Miami here. I imagine the majority of you guys in the comments believe so as well, given the fact that it's probably the same relative representative sample of people, but I don't agree with this at all. easyMac was saying yesterday on the Breaking Point podcast that on Garrison Search and Destroy, no team since the Kickoff Classic. In the Kickoff Classic, a couple of teams managed to plant the A bomb, but no team since the league has started has planted A on Garrison. In any rounds, it's never happened a team has planted A. At least if it has happened, like it's happened like literally once or something, and easyMac didn't manage to catch it. It is literally a one bomb site map, and Checkmate is basically the same, even though occasionally in a 1v1 you get a plant over at A. So Garrison to me is just an awful search and destroy map. It plays exactly the same every round. On defense and on offense, you basically just do the same thing. There's nothing special you can do. You just have to play for a pick and eventually get the bomb down at B. It's literally you're playing the same round on repeat 11 times in a row, in my opinion, on Garrison. And there's nothing special you can do on defense, nothing special you can do on offense. It's just a 2-lane map. You just have to play it out, and it's probably going to go round 11 because the defense is going to win the majority of the rounds. Miami, there is so much cool stuff you can do. You can that you have to make real decisions as an offense and a defense as to which site you stack. Do you think they're going to do an A push? Do we go for a defensive stack over here and then rotate early if they're not actually over at A? If we go B early on, do we go for a quick flank through the B side? There's so much you can do on Miami, and honestly, I really like it. I'm surprised people want it gone as much as they do. I know that Scump talked about that he didn't like it because OpTic, I suppose, aren't good at it, right? So there's the whole trade-off, the fact that teams want maps gone that they're not particularly good at. But in my opinion, Miami plays a lot better for search and destroy and is much more interesting and nuanced to watch than a Garrison, especially Checkmate to some degree. And Moscow, I think, is relatively good. And I mean, Raid is never in doubt that he's going to be staying in the game. As some of the guys say right here, 50% split saying Miami are absolutely lost. Checkmate's got to go. Watch 5 30-minute S&Ds. Makes no sense. Merc says that people are voting for this one. And as Bevel says, the head coach of the LAG, Garrison and Checkmate out, Apocalypse and Express in. So that'd be interesting, right, to see Apocalypse come in as a search and destroy map as well. I mean, who knows if that's going to happen, but certainly something which could be on the table. And this, of course, the other discussion from last night was the fact that OpTic was scrimming again with Dashy, and we talked yesterday about this new meta, right? Okay, so the XM4 is gone now from the meta. We saw Formal and Dashy certainly doing some pretty good things with it throughout the entirety of stage 1, but as Dashy was talking about, okay, maybe it's just too easy to use for a number of the assault rifle players, right? It makes bad assault rifles look good because the XM4 is just so good. So Dashy was using the QBZ yesterday and was absolutely gunning with it. I don't really understand how he makes it look so good. As you can see, B-Sport Josh points out right here, 63 eliminations on Crossroads. Pretty insane. He has almost 8,000 damage, almost 10,000 score up against the Los Angeles Thieves. I mean, completely shredding with it. I think it was 51 actual kills, 63 eliminations with the QBZ. This is pretty incredible to me because whenever I use the QBZ, either I'm just shredding with it or I'm getting completely world starred. I don't really understand. Sometimes it's a complete pea shooter, and other times you just gun people across the map. There's actually a couple of clips I took from Dashy's stream last night, where I got them from the clip section of his channel just this morning, of him just completely destroying with it. One from this map and one from another map. I believe it's on Garrison Hardpoint, just completely destroying people across the map with it. Yeah, honestly, it looks very good with this weapon in hand.
Spawn on like Q1.
Wait, Don actually they spawn on
behind me in the back, You gotta kill this guy.
Down there too, Seth. Don back.
He's back at plat. Nice, all dead.
I found. 1v4, I think, guys.
Yo, one more on me fences, guys. I'm different.
They're mid app, dead.
I'm looking vent.
No one deep mid.
I just ran right into an nade.
I left Silly dead.
Flat, assault, dead.
Good job. Keep holding that, right?
Green.
I'm still holding this, guys.
I left Silly dead.
Yo, just run away. Go block. Go block. Seth, go block.
Yeah, I'm literally pushed out so far right now.
Spawn here, Seth. They're gonna spawn here on us.
Behind one.
But certainly not all players are happy with this meta. We saw aBeZy talking yesterday about, okay, some of these assault rifle players are blasted, right? Like, they're always complaining about my SMG in hand and that their assault rifles are actually very good, and they don't tend to believe that that is indeed the case. But as Clay says, like, Psy, back to ripping my hair out trying to kill SMGs at all times. Great meta we have right here, sarcastically, he points out, right? Given the whole point is, like, hey, the XM4's now gone. Clearly, Clay kind of liked it in the game, given that it actually gives you a chance to kill the 74U players. ILLey, I suppose, is somewhat agreeing with him here, given he's also using an assault rifle. But I must say, in the OpTic scrims I did watch last night, it was pretty good to see the fact that on some maps, Formal was using a Krig, then you've got Dashy on the QBZ, then you've got 274Us. And this is the meta which is kind of ideal, right, actually having a 3-weapon meta in the game. Hopefully it stays. Hopefully the QBZ doesn't end up actually being too good, because that's kind of what happened with the XM4, right? When the AK-47 first got banned, the XM4 came in, people used like one XM4, one Krig, like 274Us for a few days, and then people realized, hang on a second, do we actually need the Krig at all? Is the XM4 actually too good, as it turned out to be? And okay, the QBZ, will it go through the same situation? Hopefully it doesn't, but it's certainly something which you've got to argue. Just as I was saying, really, the fact that sometimes the QBZ seems to be an absolute monster, and sometimes it's not. As he says, got to use the PVC. There's so many names, nicknames that they have for this weapon. The PVC, the XQC, I think people call it as well, which on 20 ping or less is the best gun I've ever used. On 20 or more ping, it shoots absolute marshmallows, which I do kind of feel. It's such there's such a dichotomy, I swear, using this weapon. And as Parasite says, you can't do it all anymore. Have to rely on teammates a lot more. But also, headshots and your pistol are your best friends. So maybe headshots is the way to go to this weapon. I'm not really sure. As Panda says, shout out to Macklemore finally getting himself in a video. I see you in the comments, so I'm chucking you in right here. As Panda says, actually pretty interesting tweet though. This QBZ is so good. We just played a raid control versus New York, and I could have swore it was Ponytail Claystar. We're back in Black Ops 2 with an FAL on the other team just mowing my roster down. So yeah, clearly it's a very good weapon right now. And in Dashy's hands, it certainly looks very good indeed. But is it too good of a weapon, right? The European challengers, they decided to get rid of it a few days ago. They officially GA'd the QBZ before really any of the North American pros even had a chance to use it. I hope it doesn't go, because if it does, we're just looking at Krigs. And the Krig, even though it's kind of a nice weapon, it's a pretty boring gun. The QBZ has a little bit of flair to it, and it's like the Type 25, to be honest, from way back in Call of Duty Black Ops 2, which is actually one of my favourite weapons in that game. As Josh said, so it's better than the M4, so who knows how long it will last, if at all. I just thought I'd mention this just to finish off the video. This is Zuma and Hydra. What an SMG duo this could have been over the New York Sibilants if this whole unfortunate situation where Zuma didn't have to go down. And of course, New York looking so good right now that will they actually need Hydra in the squad? Maybe it is only a matter of time. Enjoy taking your thoughts on all this stuff in the comment section. But I hope you guys enjoyed the video. If you did enjoy it, I'd greatly appreciate a like on the video. It really helps out the YouTube algorithm. I know you enjoyed this content. Other people like you may enjoy this content as well. And I've grown the competitive Call of Duty community. Thank you for watching as always. Take care. And I will see you next time.